It's Mike Farrell, Rivals.com, with the Mack Brown, who has taken UNC recruiting from meh to very, very good, and obviously he's put a good product on the field. Appreciate you coming on, Coach. I know this is weird, right? Like, have you ever signed a class while you're in game prep and during the season and all that?
Mike, the whole thing's weird. I did notice last year that some of the early bowls were around signing date, and some of the guys were actually signing classes the last couple of years while they're playing, just right before the game. And it's crazy. So now you've got people trying to get your assistant coaches. You've got to worry about whether your juniors are going to go out or not. You've got to worry about, are your seniors opting out, or now can they come back next year? Are they going to stay? And at the same time, you got this little thing called signing date stuck in there. So my wife calls it the silly season. It's just all over the place. So you just got to manage it.
Yeah. And do you like the early signing period?
I do. I was the president of the American Football Coaches Association when we brought it up. But, Mike, it was supposed to be different than it ended up. Like a lot of things with the NCAA, we proposed that a young man that was going to be an early enrollee have an early signing date, or a young man who was a legacy. And he knew he was coming to North Carolina or going to Georgia or going to Tennessee. He wasn't going to visit anywhere else. He could sign early. Everybody else would still sign in February. Okay. And then when it got to the NCAA, they said, no, you can't let some sign and not let others sign. It's against federal law. So that way we ended up really having one signing date.
Was there ever thought of August?
Yes. And a lot of people didn't like it. I liked it. I thought we should have one in August or at least June.
Yep.
And for guys that wanted to come, then have one in December. And I thought it should be like this one, like the junior college signing day.
Yeah.
And then I thought we should have one in February. And if a kid wants to sign, let him sign.
Right.
I mean, he's got a right to wait. And those parents have a right to wait. But if he knows what he wants to do, there'd be less cheating. And also, you wouldn't be spending as much money. Let them do what they want when they want to do it.
Right. And you wouldn't run into the coaching carousel and all the changes. I mean, exactly. Kids are going to sign this week, and next week assistant coaches will be at different schools and all that. So you and I are apparently the only smart people left in college football. So that's good to know. Let's talk Tar Heels. You have done an amazing job. I was one of the ones who thought initially, like, this is an interesting hire. He did a great job at Texas, but those Texas recruiting wars are a little different than the Southeast. Maybe he's too old, I said, and I was wrong. I mean, you're killing it. So what's the secret sauce, and how has it energized you? Because you're recruiting, I would say, better than you were at Texas, because Texas is Texas.
Yeah. Well, Mike, Texas recruiting is so different because we had 375 guys in the state on the average that signed a Division I football scholarship.
Right.
You could take 20 to 25. So that meant there were 350 mad. So then you had PR issues and you had to play against them and they all wanted to beat you. So that's a different animal out there completely. I do think the 5 years away from football helped me. It helped me understand media better. It helped me see what other people were doing, because you get in your little box and you don't get out of your box and you don't change things that in some cases you should change. I realized I missed it. So some of the things that at the end of my Texas time I was mad about are certain things that I like fixing things, and you don't want problems, but you want to help kids and mentor them. And I missed that a lot. So I really think that I was re-energized. It opened my eyes in some different ways. I had different ideas of what I would change and how I would change it when I came back. And at the same time, I love the kids and the coaches, and I'm very direct with all of them right now. And I think that's helped, Mike. I realize that people thought if you're older, that means you've got more experience. So one of the problems with that is that, do you have any energy?
Right.
If you're tired or you don't have energy, you can't coach.
Yeah.
So I had the energy. I was excited to be back with the experience I've got. And then I realized that there's not a generation gap with these kids. There's a communication gap. They want to be talked to. They want to be told the truth. They want to be driven. They want to get better. They want to get degrees. They want to play in the NFL. They want to get jobs when they get back out. None of that's changed. Maybe a few other things have changed, None of that's changed.
Right.
And that's where I think we've been successful.
Yeah, that's as an old timer in my profession, I get it. You know, experience and energy can be dangerous. Uh, that's why I drink energy drinks. But I tell you what, you know, the experience you have in recruiting lets you put together a class like this, a very small class with 18, not very small, but small, 16th in the country, but you really nailed it to me on the defensive side of the ball, first and foremost, which I think is where your biggest needs are. So tell me a little bit about a few guys. I assume everybody's signed. I'm looking here. All you guys have signed.
Yes.
I'm intrigued by Keyshawn Silver first. You know, how freaky is he, and how early do you think he could play?
He is very freaky. 6'5", 275, can easily be a 290, 295 defensive end like a Greg Ellis. He is a tremendous pass rusher. He's got explosion off the ball, but he can take on the big tackles in the run game as well. So he is coming in early, Mike. We'll throw him out there this spring and turn him loose. One of the areas we've got to improve is the ability to sack the quarterback or disrupt the quarterback without having to blitz. Where Jay Bateman's had to blitz all the time to get pass rush, we need a guy that can get that done, and Keyshawn's in that group.
Yeah, and you got another guy, Jahvaree Ritzie, who's going to be a bookend with him, who brings a slightly different skill set too. But you have to feel happy with your defensive end recruiting.
Yes, very, very happy with both. Jahvaree actually ran cross country this spring, this fall. His mother is the track coach, so at 280 pounds, here's this big guy running 3 miles a day. But they're both very, very talented. We have 11 guys coming in for early enrollment. Those 2 are in that group. We have another guy, J.J. Jones, that may come in. So we'll get a great look at these guys this spring.
Other guys on defense that stand out to me, Ra Dilworth is sort of like an Isaiah Simmons type of Swiss Army knife. Am I on the right track there?
Yeah, he ran 4.4 something at some of these camps this fall, and he's 205 to 10 pounds. He can fly, and he's mad when he gets there, so he'll hit you. So he and Power Eccles, a very similar type, will both come in early. So we're going to have them this spring too. So we're going to look like a better team walking out in spring practice than we've looked like since we've been here.
Yeah, Power obviously has won every award in the state of North Carolina as a linebacker. You know, a little bit shorter than Ra, but arrives at the football with some anger. Does he remind you of anybody that you've coached over the years or that you've seen over the years? Power Eccles?
Both of those guys remind me some of Brian Simmons because he can really run here. He was a first-round draft choice, so that's high praise for them early. But he could fly. He was a running back in high school and was all over the place. And with modern day offenses, with screens and draws and quicks, and you have got to have linebackers that can run. You've got to carry the seam down the middle. It's just a different time for those linebackers, and they better be special.
All right, well, let's move to the offensive side of the ball. I was talking with a coach last night that you know, I won't name his name, but he told me that it's all about quarterbacks. If you don't have a good quarterback, you're done. Drake Maye, as the heir apparent, you know, battling down the road for the job after Sam Howell, what'd you like about him, and how hard was it to flip him from Alabama?
Yeah, well, Mike, number one, his dad was a graduate assistant for me when I was here before, after he was a very good quarterback for Coach Crum. So I've known the Maye family forever, and like all the North Carolina fans, screamed for Luke in basketball season. And so this was like a family member.
Yeah.
When you're talking about for North Carolina, I said earlier, it's like the Mannings not going to Ole Miss, or the Mannings not being at Tennessee with Peyton. So, but Drake was a guy that was committed to Alabama early because he wasn't sure who we were or what we were going to do. He saw our success. He came back and wanted to change his mind. And like Sam Howell a year ago, I think Drake Maye was a tremendous asset in recruiting a lot of these other guys. So they said, if this guy, who is the best quarterback in the state of North Carolina, is going to flip from Alabama back here, then why can't I go to North Carolina? So I think there was a huge upside for both Sam and Drake changing their commitments to come back to North Carolina.
Now, you've done a pretty good job with those 2 running backs of yours. Those guys are amazing. Tell me about DeAndre Boykins, because he intrigues me greatly. Is he a safety? Is he a running back? What are you going to do with him?
What we do, Mike, is we ask them what they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you want to play? And if they say, I don't care, then what we do is we put them at both spots. He could be a corner, he could be a nickel, or he could be a tailback. And he was different. He said, Coach, I'll come, but I want to be a nickelback. I want to play defense. That's my deal. And I said, great, you got it. So we committed him as a nickelback, and that's where he'll be. He's another one that will be in here this spring. So he'll be out there in 2 or 3 months playing against that really good offense we've got and seeing how he fits. But he's powerful. He's a weightlifter. He can run. He's actually KJ Binkley's cousin. But he's a very talented young man, and he's driven, doesn't say much. He'll knock you out, but he's not going to talk to you. So if you're having a Zoom conversation with old DeAndre, you can say, this will be quick.
Yeah. Definitely a quiet kid. We had him at one of our, I think we had him at our 5-star challenge a year and a half ago, and late edition, and was just awesome. Like, that's kind of where he emerged to us. So you've done a great job with your wide receivers as well. And obviously everybody needs a tight end. You've got 3 guys at wide out and 1 tight end. And of course you got a couple athletes here in Kamaro Edmonds and Caleb Hood, different positions they can play. Tell me about these guys. You've got Damari, you got Daz. Nobody thought they were going to be as good as they are. Do we have any sleepers here?
I do think we do. You look at Kobe Paysauer. He's from Kings Mountain, and he went over the state line to South Carolina and played at Gaffney this year and just had an outstanding year. You look at Gavin Blackwell. He played with Sam at Sun Valley. He's really fast. Both of those guys are coming in this spring. And then J.J. Jones is probably the best receiver in South Carolina at 6'3". And he's a big, tall guy that has a length advantage over those corners. The first 2 are definitely coming in this spring, and JJ's trying to make a decision between basketball and coming so we could have all 3. We're going to play Camaro and Caleb Hood at running back, and they're 220 and 225 pounds. So we like what we're seeing Javante do. So we're trying to get a big back that can run like he does. And then Bryson Nesbitt was a late addition at tight end, and we feel like he's like a wide receiver in a 6'5", 240-pound body. So those are all guys that have a chance to help us.
And a small defensive back class, small offensive line, class comparatively. Sometimes you take 5-6 offensive linemen in a year. Sometimes you take 2. Sometimes you take 5-6 defensive backs. But you got 2 at each position, not including, of course, Mr. Boykins, who's going to play defense. Talk to me about Mack Brown and Dontavius Nash on defense first, and then we'll get to your O-lineman.
Yeah, Mack is a quarterback at Jacksonville. He can really fly, and he played receiver some. He's played running back. He returns punts. But we feel like that one of the biggest issues right now with college football is who can cover the one-on-one routes outside. Everybody's using the safeties to stop the run, and if you can't cover, you're going to get beat. And who's got ball skills? And here's a guy that's played offense enough that he's got good ball skills, and that really helps. So we're excited about him. The other thing is that he's a winner. Jacksonville played for the state championship a couple of years ago, so that helps. Dontavius Nash committed to us when we got here in the summer 2 years ago. It's amazing how quickly he wanted to be here. And he's big, he's got length, he can play corner. He'll probably play safety for us. But here's another in-state guy, Mike, that's really passionate about being at this place. So we think 2 of those guys are really going to be good. And then you really have to add Tony Grimes to this class. He was the #1 receiver.
Yep.
The high school freshman or a high school senior that's playing as a freshman for us and started the last 3 weeks. So, but he would have signed with this class.
And he was a 5-star, and he boosted your last class because we had to reclassify him. But yeah, he would be part of this class. It's almost like I almost forgot that Tony reclassified before the season started because so much has been going on. So you're in good shape at D-back for sure. O-line, in-state Diego Pounds, I thought he was going to Penn State. You kept him. And Eli Sutton pulling him from Tennessee. Tell me about those 2 guys.
Well, we love the big, strong offensive lineman, and Eli's 6'6.5". 280 something, and Diego's 6'5", 300. They both have great feet. People are getting the huge offensive lines now to knock guys out of the way, Mike, and get them out of the way, and got the link with the pass rushing with the outstanding Javari Ritzies and Keyshawn Silvers of the world. And we're not losing any offensive linemen. We've got them all back and have most of them back for the next 2 years. So we felt like that we needed tackles. And that was our big push for the year. We feel like both of these guys are really athletic. They're huge. Diego will be here for spring practice. Nash will be here for spring practice. Tamir will not. Caleb Hood will be here for spring practice. Camaro will not. So we're going to have 11 of these guys that'll be here, and it'll be really fun to watch Diego. When I watch Diego play basketball and he just jumps up and dunks it easily, and then I watched him on the diving board have a big flip at 300 pounds and 6'5", I said, okay, I'm in.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't need to see him play football.
No. A lot of cases, I'd rather watch them play basketball than football because you can see them knee bend and
the feet.
See a lot more about their athletic ability.
Are you done with this class? Is this going to be 18, or do you have anybody that you're going after for February, or are you done?
Mike, right now we're done with this crazy rule with the transfer portal being full every day.
Yep.
If we see something that jumps up that excites us, we've still got a couple of spots. But unlike the last 2 years, we felt like we should hold some back just in case there's somebody that wanted to come that might really help us.
Okay, and that's an advantage for 2022, obviously, because now you can start all your work on that, right?
Yes, the biggest thing for 22 that's different for us, all of the guys we signed today, we had seen before in person.
Yep.
They had been to games as juniors. They've been around us. They've been on campus. We probably lost 2 or 3 really good recruits that never got here. So that was the disadvantage, but we had them in. The disadvantage for 2020 is I'm sitting there the other day and a young guy calls us and said, I want to commit. And the coach said, I don't know him. I've never met him. And I said, you may not get to meet him.
Right.
So Zoom, my friend, let's get relationships with Zoom, with the parents. So we immediately got on with everybody and started trying to get a relationship. And then a kid told me the other day, I said, I'm hearing you want to commit. He said, I do, but I don't know you. I haven't met you. And I said, well, here we are.
Yeah.
This is the way we're going to have to get to know each other. Welcome to 2020.
It's not fun, I'll tell you. And as you know, being a good head coach, recruiter, and a personable person, it's just not the same. You just you can't establish those relationships when kids are on campus and they can sit in your office and look at that national championship trophy and get to know you on a personal level. But your staff does a tremendous job. This is a great class. UNC's going places, it looks like to me. And I wrote a couple years ago that you were too old. So you can now laugh at me and tell me I'm too old if you want to. Go ahead.
We're all getting better, Mike. We're getting younger, but more experienced.
Exactly. And I love the trophies back there. I mean, that's some history right there. There's some good stuff, but that national championship in your Zoom, that's got to be the best selling point I've seen so far. So
thank you, Mike.
Congratulations on a great class, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. And we appreciate all you do in recruiting and helping all these young guys spread the word.
It's fun. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
All right.